In this section, we're going to talk about cables and connectors, which it's not exactly rocket science, but there's a lot to know about. There's a lot of different ones that you'll come across when you set up a DAW and work with digital audio and microphones and things like that. And while it's not that hard to figure out, okay, this one goes in there and that stuff, it's good to know about them and have a kind of a sense of what cables are out there, what cable you might need for a certain device. You know, if you're reading specs and you see that it needs light pipe, you want to know what that is. So that's kind of the objective of this section. So you can think of cables as kind of the veins of your audio system or of your DAW, in that all of your information, be it analog sound or digital, at some point moves through these cables. And so the integrity of the system can really be dependent upon the integrity of the cables. They say, you know, there's always kind of the only as strong as the weakest link. It's not uncommon for cables to kind of become a weakest link in a system. One, because they seem like they're really overpriced. And two, because sometimes they're just not hooked up right, or you use the wrong cable for the wrong application. There's lots to know about, and it's good to know when you see different words on different specifications for products or things like that, what it actually is. You know, what am I getting into? Does this device require the $200 cable or not? So it's good to have an understanding of those things. There's a couple things I want to talk about. There's kind of two main categories. If you think of cables in terms of what they actually carry, there's really two main categories. There's analog and digital. Analog is going to be moving your electrical voltages, and digital is going to be moving little packets of information. These are more or less, you can call them computer cables. Firewire is a digital audio cable. USB is a digital audio cable. It's moving your digital information. So it's good to keep those two things in mind. Sometimes the adapters look alike. In certain devices, it'll function as a digital cable. In other devices, it'll function as an analog cable. A good example is the RCA cable, which also is the SPDIF cable. You can use it on your home stereo to hook up a VCR, or you can use it to transfer 2 tracks of stereo digital quality through one connector. The other thing to think about with cables, or just kind of be aware of, is that they have to plug into something. There has to kind of be an A and a B plug and a receptacle. So in the audio world, we refer to these cables as male and female. And if you understand biology, it's pretty easy to discern which one's the male and which one's the female. But if I say, oh, here's the male end of this or the female end of that, now you have an idea of what I'm talking about. And it's common to hear that kind of language thrown around. Another thing to keep in mind is whether a cable is balanced or unbalanced, and that's what we'll talk about in the next movie.